Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now my apologies for not posting this video earlier. I just have quite a lot going on and we have guests staying over and stuff like that, so I couldn't quite record videos yesterday after stream. However, here we are right now and we need to take a look at this blade. And before I go any further, I must say that I really don't like this fight. It's not necessarily that I think it's hard, it's just very boring. I was quite literally falling asleep, spacing out, dozing off. And the fight is basically very straightforward. Just bait out level 1s and find your openings and hit the opponent. But the amount of power he gets back, and plus the fact that you can't ever push him to level 2 and all specials are unblockable, and then there's destructive feedback, and then there is the how do you call that node, plagued mind. It's just very tedious. Out of all of the fights in between Summer of Pain and Eternity of Pain, this is probably my least favorite, because about 75% of the fight is just kind of dancing about. So huge L from me for this fight, and especially obviously for the dimensional being milestone, because you know there's just no good option that makes already an extremely tedious and boring fight ever so more longer, boring, and tedious. So there we are. The easiest solo to do, actually, I think one of the easiest solos is with Domino, and that's exactly what I'm going to show here. I don't have any boost, I don't have any liquid courage double edge on. This is just my SIG 20 rank 3 Domino, and she does this fight the best. And the main reason why she is as good, aside from having class advantage here, is also the fact that she can gain power on parries if you do happen to have like a perfect block, and that is it. And obviously then there's the bleed. So with Domino it's actually very easy to do this fight, because you can just kind of slow play it, parry a lot, make sure that you get the special attacks fairly frequently, so you disable that power that he gets by being able to throw special attacks before him for most part. And that is definitely the easiest fight, kind of. Now, I will not have like the perfect fight here. I do think I'll miss some parries and stuff. But here you can see, obviously, those level 1s can also give you some critical bleeds that, you know, give you some additional damage. And with Domino, in order to take this fight easily down, is just, yeah, kind of parry a lot and throw your level 1s, and that's about it. And here we can see that same thing. Now, there I should not have parried, because destructive feedback had accumulated some bleed damage, but, you know, it's not the biggest deal. I will be taking some cheap damage here for sure, but I'm not too stressed about it. And again, the main thing is that you just kind of go, watch the power bars, and get to your level 1 before Blade has a chance to use his level 1 in order to disable the Surge Protector, and make sure that he doesn't kind of get a ton of power. Here I got Plague Minded again, and here we can see that I just kind of parry, wait out the destructive shield a bit. We can see that there was a perfect parry, so I gained a bunch of power. There was another perfect parry, gained some more power, sweet. Go for level 1. Again, none of this crit though. And there I just kind of want to bait out a level 1. And that's the entire fight. Domino probably does it the quickest out of all of the objective fights. Obviously, you can cheese this fight with like Miles and a few other champions, but that does very little good to you, because because you don't get any of those objectives sorted out. Now there we had a nice level 1, 970 bleed as well for a bit, why not? And then I'm about how my power drained. So it is fairly slow, and it's just a lot of parrying. And even with Domino, and out of all of the champions that you can use in order to get the milestones, Domino is kind of like one of the most reasonable and better options, because she does have extra power gain there. Even with Domino, it's tedious and boring. So this is quite a big L. And then the dimensional being objective is just, there is no good option. They all suck. That is going to be where I just don't even bother soloing. I'm just going to do that fight when I put Liquid Courage double edge on to get some more damage, and I'm just going to go in and use a few revives, because I all the time have a bunch of them expiring anyways. So here we go, another level 1, we have 2 bleeds, sweet, none of them are critical, unfortunately. The blade is at 26% or so. We are 100 hits in the fight, just parrying a ton again. Now there I was lucky that my power didn't get drained. That is that Domino's ability accuracy reduction at work right there. So I'm gonna go in for a few hits. destructive feedback did some damage as well. 17k crit, sweet. He's at 15%. The fight's definitely coming to an end. Not too bad. So I just kind of, again, want to parry as much as I can. Drop a level 1. Now, unfortunately, the bleed started just as the destructive feedback went up. And again, I did take some of the destructive feedback back, but I knew it's not going to be too much. And here's fine. I'm at 45% in the end. Drop my level 1. He's gonna... he's at 3%, 2%. Now I'm thinking, do I go in? And then obviously 1%, I just go and finish it off. So that's the fight. That's the fight. The entire fight is just, again, very simple but tedious. As far as the better options go, so we have the Avengers solo objective, where we have one champion, Black Widow Deadly Origins, and OG Black Widow as well, but Black Widow Deadly Origins better for this, where if you can do that fight with Black Widow Deadly Origins, then you get both of the Thronebreaker objectives done. And it's definitely doable. Again, it's just very long and tedious. I think I got him about 40% in my first try yesterday on stream. Then other Avengers options is Namor. Namor's quite good because if you time your Imperious Rex quite well, you can do quite huge burst of damage to Blade. Scarlet Witch Sigil is the Avenger that I used personally. She's quite good because she gives Blade buffs, which means she can trigger MD, and at that point you can get to your level 1s and level 2s more frequently, despite the Plagued Mind, and you can do more damage. So I'd say OG Scarlet Witch apparently works quite well. I haven't tested that out myself. Hulkbuster can do this fight quite well also. You can be like super aggressive, push the blade to about to the 3 bars of power pretty much, and then just power drain him and knock in some heavy attacks there. And both Visions, again, very long but tedious fights. Only thing you have to worry about then is the destructive feedback. But again, also their power drain abilities, you know, become weaker. For most part, you can pretty much use any champions, to be honest. It's you could use this, you could play this fight with Groot. It's just gonna last very, very long, and you know, can be very, very boring. For mercenary objectives, again, as I mentioned already, Black Widow Deadly Origins, Domino is champion who I used. And Massacre does this fight well because you can hit him quite often on the block and do decent amount of damage and still gain some power. Misty Knight was amazing. I actually nearly soloed yesterday live with my first try. I definitely would have had that solo in there if I had Liquid Courage Double-Edge active. And similar with Hitmonkey, actually. Hitmonkey is very, very good. And so is Karnak. And when it comes to dimensional beings, then, you know, quite truthfully, they all suck. Like, if you take a look at dimensional beings that we have access to, I didn't want to, like, even mention it, but obviously, let's bring them up. So, let's go to dimensional beings, and we have 9 champions. Mephisto is meant to be immune to ability accuracy reduction, which is something that I did want to try out. But it doesn't seem that he is, because I hardly ever got my Aura of Incinerate, no matter how much I parried. And obviously the block damage against Blade is going to be significantly increased. And with all of these champions, what you need to keep in mind is your parries will fail, your abilities will fail. Not guaranteed, sometimes they will work, but you know, they have significant chance of failing. And obviously Blade's going to be hitting that much harder in the block. It is nice that they are all Mystic champions, so you'd think you can benefit from Mystic Dispersion, except Blade doesn't have any buffs, so you don't really. And yeah, the answer for this is fairly simple. Put on an aggressive mastery setup, put on some boosts, and, you know, just blitz it down a few revives. I'm sure that there will be people who get in that solo for like 15 minutes dancing around. But honestly, fights like this is kind of like my kryptonite in MCOC, because I really space out. Because if all that you do is run around the screen and bait out opponent's special attacks and get to hit him, I don't know, with a combo every minute or so, it really is not Marlgons of Champions that I like or enjoy. And I definitely noticed it yesterday as I was streaming. Within like 50 hits in that fight and 10 level 1s, all of a sudden I just don't parry when my parry fails, or all of a sudden I just eat level 1. And obviously there's an occasional input issue as well with the game. and all of that is a kind of a mix for disaster. So this is probably going to be the first fight in between Summer of Pain and Eternity of Pain where I actually use some items, just because I can't be bothered to get in that solo and dance around and try and stay awake through that fight. So once again, a huge L to whoever made that fight in the first place, and even bigger L whoever came up with the objectives for it. Just nothing, absolutely nothing enjoyable about that fight. And I genuinely did like Crossbones and Icarus fights before, and most of the Summer of Pain fights as well. This one just hits differently. This one puts me to sleep. Either way, let me know what you guys think, and I'm going to catch you guys soon. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information